I finally stopped screaming when my husband ignored my requests, and instead I started playing his game of selective hearing, and watching him lose his mind was the most satisfying revenge of my life. To understand why I declared a silent war on my own husband, you have to witness the maddening cycle of our marriage. Addison has mastered the art of weaponized incompetence. If I ask him to do the dishes or hang the laundry, my voice apparently turns into white noise. He nods, grunts an uh-huh without looking up from his phone, and then does absolutely nothing. When I inevitably snap after finding the chores untouched hours later, he gaslights me, claiming he never said he wouldn't do it, and accusing me of freaking out over nothing. The breaking point came after a particularly infuriating 24 hours. I asked him twice to clear the dinner table while I bathed our son, Leo. He promised he would, but I woke up the next morning to find grease congealed on the plates and him snoring in bed. I cleaned the mess in a rage, and when I confronted him over breakfast, he just grinned sheepishly, blamed his memory, and told me to calm down. Foolishly, I trusted him again when he enthusiastically agreed to hang the laundry before work. But when I returned that evening, the balcony was empty. I opened the washing machine to find the clothes sitting in a damp, mildewy heap, souring after being trapped all day. That was it. As Addison walked through the door and immediately flopped onto the sofa to scroll through his phone, completely unbothered by the stench of his own failure, something in me shifted. I realized that screaming didn't work, nagging didn't work, and doing it myself only enabled him. So I decided to stop hearing him, too. I realized my husband wasn't just lazy. He was actively training our son to be just as useless as him. And when I tried to intervene, he accused me of going through early menopause. To understand why I finally lost it, you have to see the scene in my living room. The washing machine beeped, signaling the end of the cycle I had already re-washed because Addison ignored it all day. I called out to him 3 times to hang the laundry. Silence. I finally kicked his foot to get his attention, only for him to roll his eyes and claim he heard me the first time, despite zero evidence of movement. He dismissed his earlier failure with a shrug, telling me to just wash them again because my time and labor meant nothing to him. I hung the clothes myself, defeated. But dinner brought a new battle. Addison sat at the table, blasting videos on his phone while our 3-year-old son, Leo, watched and asked why Daddy could break the no phones at the table rule. When I asked Addison to put the phone away to set a good example, he ignored me. When I yelled, he sneered that I sounded like his mother and made a disgusting crack about early menopause. I tried to reason with him, pointing out that Leo was copying his bad habits. His response: "He can play on his phone too. I am not stopping him." My rage hit a boiling point. I fed Leo, cleaned the kitchen, and then asked Addison to do one simple thing: bathe our son. He snapped at me for nagging, but agreed 20 minutes later. I walked into the bedroom to find Addison lounging in bed on his phone, while Leo sat alone on the floor watching television, unbathed and ignored. That was the moment I realized I wasn't raising one child, I was raising 2. I stared at my husband, who was still lounging in bed with his phone while our unbathed son sat on the floor. And in that moment of bone-deep exhaustion, the truth finally clicked. He wasn't deaf. He was playing a game of chicken, waiting for me to break first. To understand how my husband transformed into a giant toddler in just 3 days, we have to look at the enabler who just left. For 3 years, his mother lived with us, cooking 4 meals a day and serving Addison like he was royalty. She was wonderful, but she accidentally trained him to be helpless. Now that she is gone, he expects me to seamlessly pick up the role of his servant, refusing to lift a finger because he assumes I'll eventually do it myself. But a marriage isn't a dictatorship, and I was done being the only one working. I decided to give Addison a taste of his own medicine. I bathed Leo myself, put him to bed, and the next morning I cooked breakfast, only for me and my son. When Addison emerged, confused and hungry, asking where his food was, I ignored him. When he asked again, louder, I simply shrugged and said, "We already ate. You never asked me to make you any." He stormed out, furious, but I was just getting started. That evening, I took Leo out for dinner and fun, leaving Addison to fend for himself. The next day, I escalated the war. I asked him to hang the laundry again, but this time, I only put his clothes in the washer. When I came home to find them still wet and mildewing in the machine, I left them there. The following morning, panic set in. Addison realized he had 0 clean uniforms for work. One set was rotting in the washer, and the other was filthy from the day before. He looked at me, expecting a rescue, but I just sipped my coffee deaf to his crisis, finally letting him experience the consequences of his own selective hearing. Welcome to share your feelings in the comment section. Remember to like and subscribe, and if you want to see more story content, please check out the other videos on my channel.